Hello everyone, my name is Cameron and welcome back to your regularly scheduled nonsense, where today, as you guys can probably tell by the title of the video, I'm going to be discussing the A to Z Platinum Challenge that I just wrapped up literally like 10 minutes ago. We're going to kind of go over some analytics for it, things that I kind of try to keep track of as best as I could while I was going through it. I was originally going to tally up the total number of streams that it took, but I realized as far as that goes, that could have gone so many different ways had I streamed longer in some cases or shorter times in other cases. So I didn't really want to keep track of that as much as I thought I was going to. I'm pretty sure I did roughly about 60 to 70 streams, give or take, because a few of the games went about 10 streams or 11 streams or so. So they kind of added to the numbers a little bit. The biggest things I'm going to be focusing on are how long the total challenge took me. Not in terms of gameplay specifically, just in terms of trophy to trophy. So first platinum to last platinum is basically how I'm keeping track of that. I could have definitely done first trophy to final trophy, but I didn't feel like doing extra work although Plague Tale didn't take me that long. I think that was probably like 1 or 2 streams or 3 streams, something like that at the start of the year. So it probably would have only added like 2 days to the total time if I did it that way. But I thought doing the first platinum to the final platinum was probably the better way to do that. But I also tracked how many trophies total were up for grabs during this challenge and how many I ended up actually getting out of those total. What do I mean by that? What I really mean is basically the total number of trophies I could have earned counting the base game and the DLC and all that stuff, and then the actual amount I did end up getting for each game. First things first, I want to go through my thoughts on this whole challenge though and what I thought of it at the end of it. So I didn't enjoy this challenge all that much. I think it's fun, and I give kudos and props to the people who can do this challenge in like a month and can do 30 platinums in 30 days and things like that. I don't have the time necessary to be able to do that, where I can focus 100% of my time on just platinuming video games for 30 days and things like that. And I love watching those types of videos, but it's never where I wanted to be with this challenge. I wanted this challenge to be my year-long thing, and I could take my time as necessary. Originally, I'd hoped to be getting about 2 platinums in this challenge every month. That kind of fell off midway through around LA Noire Made of Scare. Around that time is when the game started taking a little bit longer, and obviously I went very quickly through like the first 3 games, and then Deus Ex was a fucking roadblock for a bit. And then I went really fast through Plague Tale, and then Baja Edge Control took like a week, and then Cat Quest was a single stream, and then Deus Ex was like a week or 2 or something like that. And then Endling was pretty quick. Far Cry Primal took a while. Ghostwire took a while. Hot Wheels took a while. It Takes Two took a while. Jak and Daxter was like a day or 2. Killzone was like a single stream, and then LA Noire and Made of Scare kind of backed it up again. Need for Speed backed it up again. Orcs Must Die then being changed into Oddworld backed it up again. Power Wash Simulator took fucking forever. And it was around that time when I started to kind of fall back in it a little bit and get burnt out, and definitely didn't want to keep going on the challenge, but I really pushed myself for it, and I'm glad I did. Because here we are, December 4th, 2025, and I'm finished with it now. I definitely could have been finished sooner. Again, like I said, I got burnt out midway through it, and that really kind of threw me off balance a little bit on it. I wanted to do other things throughout the year. I didn't want to just have this challenge be my only focus. So I was still platinuming games. It's just I wasn't as focused on the challenge specific ones, or I was playing games with my friends and just enjoying things. We started D&D this year at the start of this year, and that has been basically my whole focus. Every Monday has been D&D stuff for the entirety of this year. So that took a day away from when I can actually stream games and stuff like that. And then anytime I was watching Wrestling with Jesse or anything like that, I couldn't stream. Trying to actually go out and do things with my friends, I couldn't stream. So it very much cut into it a little bit, but it was fine by me because it was me spending time doing things in my life that I wanted to do and getting to hang out with my friends and do things like that, rather than put my life on hold like I've done so many times for different things in the last like 6 or so years. But I did kind of start pushing back into it and trying to focus on it very heavily, like September-ish, October-ish, and just trying to focus a lot more of my time on that. It's why I haven't done the Indiana Jones DLC yet on the channel, even though I planned on doing it on the channel when it came out. I just haven't had time. I've been more focused on this challenge. I was very focused on obviously finishing up the Mafia playthrough as well, which we got through Mafia the Old Country really quick. And once I was done with that and Indiana Jones on the channel, I was like, well, now streaming's really the only thing I've got, unless I'm doing videos like this. But by the time I got to Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart a couple of months ago, I think it was. Let me see when I got that one done. Yeah, when I got to Ratchet & Clank in September, I kind of was like, okay, this is that point. Once Quest Hunter and especially Power Wash Simulator, once Power Wash Simulator was done, I was like, okay, most of these games should be a week at most of time to play. And I was right about on that, give or take. I was pretty going through everything pretty quickly to the state of where I could get them done and how quickly I could get them done. And, we were on R in September. And then I think because where was I at heading into September? So I just at the end of August finished. Yeah, so I had done L back in June, M in July, N in July, and then it took me until the start of August to get Oddworld and Power Wash going. Power Wash was the end of August. So it definitely got to the point where after Power Wash, everything was kind of zippy. I was zipping through it. And then Saints Row burnt me out a little bit. And then The Escapist was really quick. Unpacking, once I switched from Unravel 2 to Unpacking, was really quick. V Rising was a bit longer than I would have liked it to have been. Wanted Dead was also a bit longer than I would have liked to have been. Xenon Racer was really short. Ukulele was pretty short. And then obviously Zombie Army Trilogy was really just... that only took time because I had to rely on Alex being available. If I didn't have to wait for Alex to be available on any of those days, I would have been through Zombie Army Trilogy a lot faster. We both have our own lives and our own things to do, and obviously D&D every Monday and stuff like that. So it was really just a balancing act of, okay, when can we be free to stream and when can we, just chill and fuck around. And then 101 Ways to Die, while it was a dog shit game and I hated it, it was not fun. I made it through pretty quick. But the biggest things I can say, number one, if you're going to do a challenge like this, regardless if you're doing it within a month or a whole year like I did, or 3 months, 6 months, whatever your breakdown ends up being for it, research. Do plenty of research. I would definitely say the research is probably the most important thing. Make sure you know how much time you have to put into a game. Make sure you know how difficult it's going to be if you have to play through it multiple times. Like with Wanted Dead, I had no idea I had to play through it 3 different times, and that kind of burned me in the ass really quick through Wanted Dead because I was not enjoying the game at points. Make sure there's a trophy guide too. Like, that's another big part of research, is make sure there's a trophy guide, because so many of these games were so much more difficult than they needed to be for the sole purpose of I didn't have a trophy guide to look at reliably that I knew for sure would give me the answers I was looking for when I was trying to figure stuff out for certain trophies. Like Baja Edge of Control didn't have a trophy guide. Orc Must Die 3 didn't have a trophy guide, and that's why I ended up getting rid of it. Trophy guides, I know a lot of people are like, well, why are you going for a trophy guide? That makes you seem like a little coward, and why not just play the game legitimately? And the biggest reason people use trophy guides is because we're trying to get through the trophies in a relatively timely fashion and try to limit the time we're trying to research shit and look things up while we're streaming or while we're just playing the game. And trophy guides help immensely in that, especially if it's a game where there's not really like a set path of how you're supposed to do things and you can kind of do it in whatever way you want. The games where you can just kind of go out and do the game and, you may not get any trophies through it and you may have to focus on a guide. Those types of games, a trophy guide helps immensely because it helps you limit the RNG factors of certain things. Like, had I known how RNG the physics was for 101 Ways to Die, wouldn't have touched it. Had I known that the game had that many issues with how the physics work and stuff, I would not have played it. It would not have been my choice. I chose it because it sounded fun and it sounded easy and it sounded interesting. And it was interesting. That's about it. It's a physics-based puzzle game that has bad physics. So I would have also avoided doing Orcs Must Die 3. I should have limited myself to, if I'm going to put a game on this challenge, it has to have a trophy guide available for me. Whether that be, because Orcs Must Die 3 doesn't even have anything available through any of the other sites. Like, there's maybe a few that True Achievements has, and then maybe a few that PlayStation Trophies has, but for the vast majority of the trophies in that game, there is no guide to them, and there is no real way to get help and figure out what you're supposed to do to get those trophies. And that's the biggest reason I got rid of that game, is if I have no resource to go help me when I'm stuck, I'm not going to continue doing it. Unravel 2, I didn't want to continue because Jesse, I wasn't going to force him to play the game with me. And I think having a trophy guide will always be better than not having one, regardless if you think you're going to need it. Having that option of looking into a guide if you're stuck on something helps so much. And also making sure that the resource for the guide is actually really good and really well done. Like, some of the 101 Ways to Die guides that I looked at were not very good, and it was all by like the same guy. And I'm not trying to hate on him or hark on him at all for how he did, because it's a guide. At least there were some parts of it that were not really well put together, and the guide's super old too, so I can't say much, because that's probably the biggest reason, is the guide is just really old. But like on the Worst Escape, which is one of the ways to die that you have to get for the trophy, he's like, oh, or no, not the Worst Escape, one of the Ways to Die guides had the map name, and it wasn't the right map. It was not the right level that he was on. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Just, put the wrong fucking level on. That's awesome, bro. Like, how did you fuck up that bad that you put the wrong level name on there for this? Maybe it was the Worst Escape. Wait, did I can't remember for sure. As far as the rest of the games go, I think the only other real thing I can say is don't choose something like L.A. Noire. If the game has a very extensive story that is very dependent on you going into it blind and not knowing anything, don't choose it. L.A. Noire is a very fun game. I had a very fun time playing it. However, for this challenge, it was a bad choice. I didn't get to really experience the story the way it should have been experienced, where you kind of go in and do your best as the detective, and then you maybe have to go through and clean up. I was looking at it as, I need to get through this as quickly as possible because this is a trophy challenge. I'm going to look at the guides for how to 100%, 5-star, whatever, every single job that you have as you go through, so I don't have to go back and do any of them. I still had to go back and fix a few, but for the most part, I focused very heavily on that. And I think it ruined the experience of the game for me. I would have enjoyed it more had I been able to go into it blindly, not focus on that stuff, and just play through the game in my own way from the get-go. So I think that kind of ruined it. So don't do games like L.A. Noire, where there's a lot of extensive story stuff that needs to be done. I think that is a better way to do that, is just kind of looking at it from a different way. But everything else, for the most part, I had a blast doing on this trophy challenge. Nothing was really too hard. Yeah, it was great. I had fun. I'm glad I did this. I don't know if I'll do it again, and if I do, it's not going to be for a while. Next year is focused on just backlog cleanup, which I'm actually getting pretty good at. I'm actually pretty ahead on already. I got Red Dead Redemption 2 done already, which was the first game I spun for that. And then I spun Thief, but I'm going to play a couple games before I jump into that one. I want to play through Ghost of Tsushima first, so that's my first focus, is Ghost of Tsushima. And then I might do like a Lego game and then jump into Thief after. Because, yeah, like I'm going to be going very hardcore on that backlog clearing as I go into next year. But I'm excited. So, without further ado, let's go through the analytics that I got for this. So, in total, I could have earned 1,257 trophies. That's between every single game. That is between every single, base game and DLC and all that stuff. I ended up earning a total of 1,248 of those trophies. So I missed. So that should be 9 that I missed. So I missed 2 in Ghostwire Tokyo for the DLC for the Spider's Thread update. I missed 3 in Made of Scare for the Horde style mode, I think is what it was, or something like that. DLC update that they had. So that's 6 right there. No, 5 right there. And then I missed 4 in Quest Hunter for the DLC as well. Because the DLC was just really tough, and I wasn't going to push myself to do more of it when I could just continue on with the challenge. The challenge was just for the Platinums. I didn't need the 100%. I only did the 100% if I felt like I could do it, and I enjoyed it. Ghostwire Tokyo is a game I do really enjoy, but the Spider's Thread update was just not fun to me. Like, the couple attempts I did at it was like, this is interesting, but it's not really entertaining me. Like, it's not really fun to me. And I don't think it makes good content if I'm just sitting there, playing a game where I'm not really having fun. Again, the other reasons I got rid of Unravel 2 and Orcs Must Die 3. And then my first Platinum trophy for this challenge was earned January 2nd, 2025, with my final one being earned today, December 4th, 2025. It took me 11 months and 2 days to finish this whole challenge. Again, I probably could have done it faster, and yeah, I could have obviously done from the first trophy earned to now, but I didn't care enough to do that and go look at when I got my first trophy on A Plague Tale Innocence, because it was probably January 1st, which means it adds 1 day. So it's 11 months and 3 days instead of 11 months and 2 days. So without further ado, we'll go through every single game one more time. So I started with A Plague Tale Innocence. I got all 36 trophies on that. Then I did Baja Edge of Control HD, got all 35 on that. Cat Quest, all 23 on that one. Deus Ex Mankind Divided, all 82 trophies on that one. Endling, I got all 28. Far Cry Primal, I got all 51. Ghostwire Tokyo, I got 65 of 67. Hot Wheels Unleashed, I got all 54. It Takes Two, I got all 21 with Jesse as well. Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, like the new updated version of it that got released earlier this year, I got all 26. Killzone Liberation, I got all 35. L.A. Noire, I got all 63. Made of Scare, I got 21 of 24 available. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, I got all 67. Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, I got all 31. Power Wash Simulator, I got all 101. Quest Hunter, I got 61 of 65. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, I got all 47. Saints Row 2022, I got all 65. The Escapist, I got all 46. Unpacking, I got all 26. V Rising, I got all 45. Wanted Dead, I got all 55. Xenon Racer, I got all 33. Yooka-Laylee, I got all 36. Zombie Army Trilogy, I got all 64. And 101 Ways to Die, I got all 31. Yeah, I had a nice mix of trophy numbers. One of those things is definitely a lot higher than the others, though. I'm shocked it was so many. Like 1,200 trophies is insane to me. I was not expecting it to be that high of a number of total potential trophies that I could have earned, but I think I did a pretty good job considering only 3 of those games were not 100%ed out of all 27. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the challenge. I'll probably be streaming a little bit next year. Not nearly as much as I did this year for this challenge, but I'll be streaming backlog clearing next year here and there just to kind of get through the games and really enjoy it. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next one. Stay golden. Peace.